And today we're reacting to craziest inmates moments caught on camera. You know, we normally do story times, but we getting inside. We're seeing what these stories are in a real-time setting in regards to the video, you know what I'm saying? That being said, let me know what y'all think. Let's get to the video. I'll lay y'all like it right now before we even start. Let's do it. He was swinging them I've seen this clip, but he jumped out the...
From daring escapes to shocking confrontations, these are the craziest moments inmates were caught on camera. October 25th, 2016, Illinois, Cook County Jail was thrown into chaos when a fight broke out in Division 9, the highest security area where the most dangerous inmates are kept. A few inmates decided to settle their scores, fueled by grudges and power struggle.
This is probably what Bill be talking about whenever it's just so much discourse, right? It's so many people, like I guess when like the gangs start getting into it, but it's so deep. But they punching, they not even standing.
The lunchroom, usually a pretty boring place, turned into a battlefield as all hell broke loose. 10 inmates got into a brawl, some
and
even
everybody in white shirts in the same uniform, you don't know who is who.
Using makeshift weapons. Eventually, 20 of them ended up injured, a few with some stab wounds. And it wasn't just the inmates involved here, 2 corrections officers also got caught up in the chaos. One officer got hit in the face with a food tray, and the other got hurt trying to break up the fight. Luckily, no one died, but the whole crazy scene left everyone shaken. August 15th, 2021, downtown St. Louis. A disturbance breaks out at City Justice Center, CJC, resulting in injuries to several detainees. The chaos started around 12:30 a.m. when approximately 24 detainees were enjoying some recreation time on the 4th floor. Suddenly, another dirty dozen come along and start attacking 4 others, beating and kicking them. Officers quickly intervened, removing victims from the area, using pepper spray if they
you saw them spraying shit too. Look how that shit. Hey, it's crazy because again, you know, we're seeing some of these things be like in these videos. You know, if we see it from the stories that Bill and Jay Williams be saying, look how they run when that shit starts spraying. You know, a nigga be burning. Hey, speaking of, I just thought about this. I might be going to. I might be linking with Bill, depending on what he got going on. I might be linking with him one day. I'm going to try to get him to do some reactions. I'm going to talk about it one day. Just give y'all something to look forward to.
If they had to. Unfortunately, this is just one of many attacks that have occurred within the facility. This happened only 2 weeks after the previous one, marking a total of 6 at the downtown facility in that year alone. And just last year, several inmates assaulted an unarmed guard and held him hostage for 2 hours, demanding hot food in exchange for his release. Looks like trouble's always going down at the CJC. September 23rd, 2017. Chaos erupts at Clayton Facility, a private prison run by the Florida-based GEO group. Now, what exactly happened?
In the middle of nowhere, boy. Try to run if you want to. You could be an hour away and just be in grass, it looked like. It's flat out
that day. Rookie correctional officer Matt Schreiner was doing his rounds on cell block 3's upper tier. He stops at cell 203, where cameras catch him chatting through a locked door with one of the most dangerous inmates in here, Clifton Bloomfield, a notorious convicted serial killer serving multiple life terms after killing 5 people in Albuquerque. The two would exchange a few words, and then in a total disregard for security, Schreiner unlocks Bloomfield's cell door. Next thing you know, Bloomfield attacks Schreiner and
Boy, yo, I ain't got finesse something so crazy. He ain't even, as soon as the door opened, jump out on him and just start, But he had time, drop his bag, put his hands up like this.
Powers him with a sharpened toothbrush turned homemade weapon. Schreiner's taken hostage but manages to break free. He races down to the main level, grabs his walkie-talkie and sprints for help. But with the keys to the entire 40-man cell block and no guards, the inmates took control. Cell doors were flung open and prisoners went on a brutal rampage. They even barricaded the main entry. Some of them used their own newfound freedom to settle old scores. One inmate suspected of being an informant was brutally assaulted in his cell, with his throat slashed.
Oh my God! Oh, with his throat slashed! Oh snap! Damn, it's getting crazy.
Other inmates took advantage of the chaos by disabling the prison surveillance cameras, starting a fire, and trashing the cell block. The riot response team steps in, filling the place up with tear gas. Slowly but surely, they round up all the inmates, handcuff them, and escort them to the day room. An inmate attacked in here was found unconscious in a pool of blood. Rescuers quickly pulled him out and called for an ambulance. Miraculously, he survived. In the end, the state had to step in and take over direct operations of that prison once again. I don't think they want this to kind of...
Ricky cop, or officer, got the whole prison
happen again.
Oh, shit.
It's unfortunate, but riots happen in prisons more often than we'd like to think. March 27th, 2018. Things take a dark turn at Cheatham County Jail in Tennessee. A huge fight breaks out, leaving 5 inmates and 2 officers hurt. This whole chaotic ordeal was caught on camera for everyone to see. The sheriff said the riot started because of a feud between inmates. But there's more to it than that, because the jail, which was built for 116 people, was holding around 192, causing tensions to reach a breaking point. After it was all over, 6 inmates were charged for adding fuel to the fire. February 2020. Another riot sparks out at Sandoval County Detention Center in New Mexico. Things got pretty crazy when 9 prisoners refused to get back into their cells. Guards decided to step back, and the administration had to bring in a special task force. But prisoners still weren't willing to give up so easily. They blocked that door, put soapy water all over the place, and they would throw microwaves and other items at this task force. Now the team had to use flashbangs to confuse the inmates, and eventually they did manage to capture all.
Cause it's like, I feel y'all doing all of this for whatever reason y'all doing it, but these niggas got everything on the outside world on their hand. Y'all over here using Home Alone traps like soapy water and shit. Not saying it don't work, but motherfuckers got tear gas and guns and beanbag. Like, even if we don't want to kill you, like, we just use all the other equipment we got. It's like you always gonna lose.
All of them. The prisoners were later charged with unlawful assault on a jail and conspiracy to commit unlawful assault on a jail. January 12, 2021. A unique riot takes place at Edna Mahan Correctional Facility for Women in Hunterdon County, New Jersey. What made this one stand out? Well, it was actually the guards who orchestrated it, not the inmates. A lawsuit that followed claimed that the guards had planned or helped carried out the forced removal of detainees from their cells, even if they didn't comply with orders to handcuff themselves. This was in response to when the detainees allegedly splashed urine and feces at the guards. According to guidelines from the New Jersey Department of Corrections, detainees should...
Being an officer and getting urine and feces splashed on me is enough for me to, like, forget that I'm an officer and kill somebody, bro. I ain't gonna lie. That's one where I understand where in the middle of the night a dog get popped and then the nigga something happened to a motherfucker, because that's some wild shit.
Should only be forcibly removed if they refuse to be handcuffed and leave their cells voluntarily. After these planned extractions, one inmate ended up with a concussion after being forcefully pulled from her cell and struck around 30 times by 5 officers. Another victim, who also didn't comply with orders, suffered skull fractures and was left bloodied and beaten with boot marks all over her body. 15 officers were later indicted by a grand jury for their involvement in these forced cell extractions, with the intention of punishing, intimidating, or terrorizing the inmates. But these incidents were just the tip of the iceberg at this notorious prison. It's faced numerous scandals, including allegations of officers sexually assaulting inmates and even allowing gambling up in here. July 15th, 2017. A surveillance video from inside the Rio Arriba County Jail in Tierra Amarilla caught accused murderer Eamon Herrera attacking several guards.
He one-on-one with him too.
At the time, Herrera was accused of committing 5 murders across northern New Mexico. It was believed that he killed his stepdad, brother, and mother before gunning down 2 strangers. From the video,
damn, he went on a wild little run.
It's evident that Herrera had a plan. While on an hour break outside his cell, Herrera asked a guard to check on his sink. As the guard went to inspect it, he closed the door behind him, trapping him inside. He then quickly
finesse school, I'm the fucking teacher. Jesus! He able to walk around with no shirt like that? Hey man, you can check my sink, man. I don't know what's wrong with my shit. Walk in there, close the door on your ass.
Grabs a flashlight hidden under a nearby desk and waits for another guard to pass by. As the guard runs through the hallway, Herrera strikes.
Wham! Oh my god! Cold his ass lacking. Wham!
With a heavy metal flashlight. A struggle ensued with the guard using a plastic
right,
chair
guard.
to
Get
defend
right, guard.
himself. Now
Get
a
right,
third
guard.
guard's here, and Herrera was finally subdued and placed into a restraining chair.
Oh, it would have been. I would have beating his ass in that bitch. Would have been in there whooping that nigga ass.
He was later convicted of 4 consecutive life sentences for the murders, as well as several charges related to assaulting the guards. September 15th, 2018. A familiar scene unfolds at Cook County Jail. A bus carrying a group of handcuffed inmates made its way to court into Chicago's suburbs. Now this is all kind of routine, with detainees attending their hearings and returning to jail without any issues. However, there are times when things go south, especially when dangerous inmates are involved, like those who were supposed to be transported separately. One such inmate was Gavanti Surratt. He was locked up in August 2016 on a burglary charge. While on bail, he allegedly committed a series of armed robberies, leading to his return to jail. During his time in jail, he was reportedly involved in at least 15 fights. Now, despite his troubled history, Surratt was placed on a bus heading towards a hearing. During the trip, he managed to free himself and attacked another inmate using a steel lock and chain of the restraints as a weapon. In the following years, he was involved in 4 more fights, 2 of which occurred on buses. Seems like he didn't learn his lesson. Or perhaps the authorities failed to learn theirs. February.
Hey, what's good, y'all? I'm back again. And I've been putting a lot of people on to this program called Free Cash for a while now. Check out one of my supporters that had the biggest payout that I've seen yet from all the DMs y'all have sent. And I promise you, they've been hitting me up saying that they've tried it and it's worked. They've been getting cashed out, and I love to hear that because it genuinely actually works. And don't think I have not been seeing y'all's comments saying things like it doesn't work, Dior supporting a finesse, they're trying to take your data, and it's not true at all. And the fact that y'all would think that I would even put that on a video to get y'all finessed is wild to me. But hey, first off, Free Cash does not sell your data. They strictly track your progress to make sure you can get paid. Only sign up with an email and password and give no personal information. So I don't know what y'all are talking about. Here's how it goes. You sign up through my link, and inside you see a list of apps and games. Download them, play, and beat the levels that they tell you. That's the key. You got to complete the requirement. And once you hit the level, the system credits your account. And every time you finish, you get real money. Cash out to your PayPal or get a gift card, while it also being free of charge. The games pay Free Cash to get new players, and Free Cash just shares the money with y'all for trying it out. It may take a little time to get a huge payout, but if you're gonna be on your phone playing games anyway, you might as well make $5 to $10 doing the same thing. I don't want to hold y'all any longer, and I hope I've cleared up some things if you've been sitting on the fence. Hit the link, try a few games, and then DM me. Let me know that you've been winning, actually getting your money. Like I showed y'all earlier, bro made $1,000 off of Free Cash. I'm not promising that's gonna happen every day for y'all, but the fact that there's a possibility for doing something that y'all already do should really be all the convincing that you need, bro. This type of nigga that'll fuck around and get himself a life sentence.
15th, 2017. 19-year-old Antoine Jones was detained and charged with first-degree.
Look at the motherfucking cut on this one. The haircut is on the back of his head. Man, come on, man. Get that shit up, bro.
Murder in the killing of Takia Holmes, a girl from Chicago who got shot in the head. Jones opened fire on 3 rival gang members in the neighborhood after a drug turf dispute. And sadly, a stray bullet hit this poor innocent girl while she was riding in the van with her mom. In a surveillance video from the Cook County Sheriff's Department, Jones appears to be sleeping while he was handcuffed to a chair in the holding room before appearing in bond court. Then out of nowhere, another inmate comes up and...
Wow! Foul!
Chair in the holding room before appearing in bond court. Then out of nowhere, another inmate comes up and repeatedly punches him. Interestingly, the inmate was detained on his own murder charge, but the murder of an innocent girl had clearly struck a nerve with him. The inmate was issued a disciplinary ticket. As for Jones, he was given 71 years in prison earlier this year.
And if that nigga did that to him, they probably whooped his ass in there, boy. They probably whooped his ass.
As you've already seen in prison, it's not common for inmates to really team up to settle scores with each other. But sometimes, though, they have issues with corrections officers, and things can get pretty messy very quickly. This happened a couple of times down in Arizona. November 3rd, 2020. A few inmates took turns attacking a single officer. The assault went on for about 2 minutes before any backup showed up, with the officer managing to get out on his own. Then on June 21st, 2021, a corrections officer had to be airlifted to the hospital after a brutal assault. Prison officials later say that both attacks were because of the same security issue, custody override, which basically means that security levels were lowered.
He letting them get cuffed. I'm not gonna lie, from the stories, that nigga probably was an asshole. Not saying he deserved it or nothing, but this nigga probably, the way he just put his hands behind his back when the other officer came, they probably just were able to get a hold of him and they whooped his ass because he was an asshole. I bet that, or something happened where it was like, oh, we got you now.
Putting them in less secure areas. But seriously, why would anybody put a super dangerous inmate in a less secure unit? Looks like a lot of prison officials need to think about that for a bit, because we got many more to go through on this list today. Here we have Deputy Daniel Guzman from Washington County caught off guard when an inmate starts a fight with him. This lasts about 30 seconds, but for Guzman, those may have been the longest 30 seconds of his life. Late March 2019, Deputy Guzman had just started an overtime shift. The inmates were enjoying some free time, and everything seemed normal until Guzman noticed an inmate circling his desk in the middle of the pod. The inmate turned out to be Hayden Davis, who was in jail at that time for breaking into a Beaverton home. Guzman greeted Davis, but he didn't respond. Suddenly, Davis lunges at him out of nowhere. Guzman's training kicked in and he shoves him to create some distance. Now, Guzman could have jumped on Davis and handcuffed him. The thought of being on the ground with over 50 inmates, though, was terrifying. He didn't know who was there to help and who wasn't. Davis charges at Guzman again, and that's when the fight begins. Luckily, another inmate intervened, grabbing Davis and throwing him to the ground, allowing Guzman to regain control of the situation. Guzman would suffer minor injuries to his eye and knuckles. As for Davis, he was given over 6 years in prison for that fight, and the original crime that landed him in jail. July 16th, 2019, Mitchell Lamb and Alex Benacomo, guards at the Southern New Mexico Correctional Facility, entered a pod housing 16 inmates. They intended
New Mexico and Chicago. Get down.
To put the pod on lockdown due to a verbal altercation between an inmate and a control center officer. However, their plans were disrupted when 5 inmates rushed them into a hallway, where they were assaulted for a half a minute. During the attack, the inmates used the guards' flashlights and radios as a weapon to punch, kick, and beat down the guards. Lamb and Benacomo would walk out of here with non-life-threatening injuries, while 7 inmates were charged in connection with the incident, 2 of whom were charged with attempted murder. August 15th, 2017, we're still in New Mexico, where things get even crazier. 2 officers at the Penitentiary of New Mexico were dealing with some seriously dangerous inmates when they were stabbed with shivs. The officers, just starting their shift, patted down inmates as they left their cells. 2 of the inmates, Lorenzo and Joe Martinez,
we got some Hispanics. Yeah, they ready to get on your ass.
Decided to cause some trouble. Lorenzo distracted an officer while Joe snuck up behind him, grabbed his neck, and stabbed him in the back of the head multiple times. Another officer tried to intervene, but Lorenzo attacked him too. Thankfully,
shit! Hold on, real quick. Peep this. Look at this little combo that this nigga was trying to get him with.
Another officer tried to
intervene. Watch this over here. Look at this combo over here.
But Lorenzo attacked him too. Thankfully, a third officer stops this chaos by firing non-lethal rounds from a shotgun. The guards survived the brutal attack and eventually made a full recovery. The 2 inmates were charged and convicted of battery on a peace officer and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. They're now serving a lengthy prison sentence. December 5th, 2016. A shocking incident occurs at Cook County Jail in Chicago, Illinois. An inmate named Jimmy Smith was caught on camera punching a female guard in his cell. The attack happened.
There was a lot of power in that. And that was one that was square in her shit too. That was on target. He got off in her shit. All of this.
guard in his cell. The attack happened when a guard caught Smith using a laptop to watch a talk show called My Back's Against the Wall. Smith, who was seen in jail for 7 years facing charges of attempted murder and sexual assault, didn't take kindly to the guard trying to take away his laptop. He reacted violently, hitting her in the face.
Boom.
Luckily, other male officers quickly intervened and Smith surrendered without further incident. And actually, the video on the laptop turned out to be Smith hosting a show with inappropriate pictures of himself inside the jail. Smith had been given the laptop to help with his defense for his court case, but instead he ended up with more charges. A charge of aggravated battery to a correctional officer, which would extend his sentence. April 6th, 2017. The peace and quiet of North Mississippi got a rude awakening, thanks to a University of Mississippi business major from Brandon named Daniel Stewart Berry, who was accused of robbing a local store. During his trip to court, Berry completely lost it, headbutting a deputy in a fit of rage. The officer quickly takes control, and everyone is left wondering if Berry was under the influence of something, though the exact substance was unknown. Berry's outburst didn't do him any favors, as his bail was increased to $200,000.
You a crazy motherfucker. You risk your skull on at somebody else's. When you do a headbutt, you a bad man.
We don't even know if he could pay it or not. November 25th, 2017. A violent attack takes place at Rikers Island, involving Captain Gorey of the New York City Department of Correction. While doing rounds in the housing area with 2 other captains, Captain Gorey was suddenly attacked by an inmate who punched him in the face and knocked him to the floor. 2 other inmates then joined in on that assault. The inmate who started the attack was identified as Jason Reed, a known...
Let's say 6'9". No, it's 69. Nah. What am I looking at here? What is this height? How tall is this nigga? And how big is this nigga? How big is this motherfucker?
Gang member. Gorey was left to defend himself after being separated from his colleagues, but managed to gain the upper hand until 2 other inmates joined in. Several other guards eventually brought the situation under control, and the captain was taken to the hospital. In response to the incident, the president of Correction Captains Association mentioned that the assaults on officers unfortunately happen too often at Rikers. However, it's not just the officers who are victims of these brutal attacks at Rikers. Sometimes, the inmates themselves get assaulted by none other than the correctional officers. 2015, The New Yorker gets their hands on surveillance footage from Rikers Island that kind of raises concern about the abuse and violence inmates face. The clip shows a guard come into Browder's cell to take him to the shower, but instead of just escorting him, the guard ends up slamming Browder, who was already handcuffed, to the ground and holds him down. 2 more guards rushed over to join in. Browder ended up spending 3 years at Rikers. 2 of those were in solitary, all because he was accused of stealing a backpack in May 2010. He was finally released in June 2013 when charges against him were dropped.
Damn, that's bogus as hell.
February 4th, 2022. Deputies at the Loudoun County Adult Detention Center in Virginia noticed that inmate Richard Pilland had covered his cell window with toothpaste to block their view. Pilland refused to follow orders, so deputies had to use the pepper spray. Medical staff then tries to help by washing off that spray, but after that, Pilland was taken to a nearby shower, but he gets aggressive before he can even get in. So they had to put him in an emergency restraint chair and take him to the shower in the medical area. When they turned on the water, the system controls had failed, and the water got way too hot. This guy had 1st and 2nd degree burns after being left in that water for about 45 seconds. His family...
that's bogus as hell. He got it. But again, this nigga, a regular shower was about to happen where he'd be like, hey, it's too hot. That shit way too hot. They left that he started fighting. They left that nigga under the hot, scorching water.
Sued the county for $7 million, saying their son was tortured as he was forced into that hot water. The lawsuit was settled for $500,000.
Oh, okay. Well, still.
May 19th, 2016, a disturbing video was released by Buffalo Police, revealing the mistreatment of inmate Shane Porter by jail attendant Matthew Jaskula. The events leading up to the violent altercation remain unclear. Here we see Jaskula aggressively lunging at Porter, who was handcuffed, and slamming him into...
Look, they laughing. That's crazy. They laughing because this is what they do.
To a nearby door. Two other cell block attendants followed him into another room, where Porter is then thrown to the floor and dragged across the tile. In another shot from a different angle, Jaskell is seen dragging Porter across the floor like a rag doll. Porter is placed in a cell, and two other officers proceed to strip him of his clothes, while he stands in a puddle of his own blood.
Wow.
He's then restrained and wheeled into another cell, where he's left waiting for assistance. After more than 90 minutes, Porter's finally removed from the restraint chair and taken out of his cell. He's then escorted out of city lockup bloodied without shoes or pants and placed in the back of a squad car with no ambulance in sight. As a result of his excessive use of force in violation of Porter's civil rights,
that boy went and got him a lawyer.
Jaskell was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison, and as a settlement for the trauma he endured, the city paid Porter $300,000.
300,000, and then the officer that whooped your ass go to jail for a year and a few months, 6 months. Okay.
We all know tensions can run high between inmates and correctional officers, but sometimes they end up being each other's heroes. June 23, 2016, Gary Grimm was on duty at Parker County District Courthouse in Texas when he suddenly fell ill. The inmates in the holding cell noticed Officer Grimm slumped over and unresponsive, so they sprang into action. Surveillance videos from the courthouse show the inmates shouting, banging on walls, and even breaking out of their cell to get help from deputies in the courtroom above. When the officers arrived, they found Officer Grimm without a pulse and immediately called paramedics. Thanks to the quick thinking and actions of the inmates, Officer Grimm's life was saved as he was having a heart attack. After the incident, Grimm expressed his gratitude, saying,
"If they wished harm for me, all they had to do was sit there and do nothing. Instead of overtaking me and taking my gun and killing me, or taking a hostage and escaping, they looked at me as a human being."
A similar incident happened in Florida when a teen who had been arrested for violating his juvie probation saved the life of the cop who was booking him in jail. September 2014, Fort Lauderdale police officer Franklin Folks collapsed from chest pain as he was booking Jamal Rutledge. Folks fell back while he was doing paperwork, started struggling on the ground, grabbing at his chest. Jamal sprang into action and started kicking the security door, alerting the other officers to the situation. Two officers rushed to the scene, grabbed a defibrillator, and performed CPR on Folks, ultimately saving his life. Medical personnel later said that Jamal's quick thinking played a big part in the officer's
Take a picture of this nigga. They took a picture with him. That's what's up, man.
survival.
Did he get something?
August
Did he get
2016.
charges dropped or some shit? Or not?
A crazy incident goes down at Payne County Jail. Inmate Tashka Robert Frank Moret decided to take a swing at a detention officer in the booking area. He then proceeded to pick him up and throw him to the ground. Now another inmate, Robert Charles Hammock, wasn't having any of that. About 15 seconds into the scuffle, Hammock jumped in to help out the detention officer. He grabbed Merritt and restrained him until backup arrived.
Big as hell.
As we've just seen, correctional officers and inmates can help each other. However, it's not always for the best reasons. April 29th, 2022, Casey White, who was waiting trial for a capital murder case, managed to escape from the Lauderdale County Jail in Florence, Alabama. And guess who helped him? None other than correctional officer Vicky White. Vicky orchestrated the whole thing, telling her colleagues that this was a scheduled mental health evaluation at the courthouse. But their plan didn't last long. May 9th, law enforcement caught up with Casey and Vicky in Evansville, Indiana. After a manhunt that ended with Casey crashing the car he was driving, Vicky tragically shot herself in the head while Casey was apprehended.
Damn, Vicky. Yeah, because you like, what are you doing? What are you doing? How tall is this thing? But Vicky, what are you doing?
Apprehended and brought back to Alabama. Under Alabama's felony murder rule, Casey was initially charged with Vicky's murder. However, the charge was dropped when Casey pled guilty to prison escape on May 5th, 2023. August 31st, 2023, another convicted murderer, Danilo Cavalcante, managed to escape.
Oh yeah, he did that shit. He definitely did that shit.
Custody. Surveillance footage captures Cavalcante casually walking to a back wall in the exercise yard, glancing around, and then grabbing onto a razor wire fence. He pulls off a Spider-Man move, pressing his feet against the wall, and climbs up until he vanishes from sight. Turns out on September 13th, they found him hiding. And
if you like this though, How did you? I guess maybe he grabbed onto whatever was up here and then swung his legs down and pulled himself up. That's the only way it makes sense.
As he attempted to crawl away, he was...
Look at how many officers. It looked like they got the military out here for bro.
Apprehended, believe it or not, by a law enforcement dog named Yoda. June 2022, 2 inmates pull off a daring escape from Hamilton County Justice Center. Security footage captures Melissa Cordell and George Bridewell escaping while they were being booked into the jail. They were able to blend in with the other released inmates while waiting to be processed. On June 8th, there were no officers around when Melissa was being booked. The video shows her on the phone testing out a door. When she realizes it's unlocked, she takes her chance and makes her way into the property area. Cordell then hid behind a pole in a wall. After a clerk returned property to inmates leaving the jail, Cordell then took off her inmate outfit and left with them. She was captured a day later. On June 20th, George Bridewell was waiting to be arraigned in a holding tank. A deputy was releasing people from a cell in the same area. Now the deputy had a list and was calling out names. He realized Bridewell wasn't on that list and told him to go back to the cell. But as public defenders asked to open the cell door to gather information, Bridewell took the opportunity. He joined a group of inmates being processed to leave and walked out with them.
Did they get him? Sound like he just... Hey, he's smooth with it. He is smooth.
September 2nd, 2016. A homicide suspect from Nevada managed to escape from police custody in a pretty wild way. Alonzo Perez, the suspect, was handcuffed to a table in a police interview room when he decided to try and break free. He twisted his body until he was able to snap the hinges off the handcuffs holding his right wrist to the table. After breaking free, he climbed onto the chair and then up to the ceiling to make his escape. Even though he was still wearing ankle chains and the broken cuff on his right wrist, Perez managed to drop from the ceiling into a hallway, run out a door, and steal a work truck that was left idling in a nearby parking lot.
Went crazy. Oh, he just went stupid. All for it to not work.
After a 4-day manhunt, Perez was recaptured and eventually sentenced to life in prison for 3 murder charges. October 18th, 2009.
I guess whenever it's like that, it's like, well, I got one more chance. You 3 murders, you're supposed to do a bigger one than that. You're supposed to have gotten at the end of the day, you really can't do much. You can't fly nowhere. You can't get too far. 4 days is enough to at least try and get across. He don't have no wallet to get no money. They definitely went to all the places where he could get help, and nobody probably wanted to help him. Yeah, it's much harder than you think. Because I'm about to say, he could just keep driving, but the car, you don't know how much gas that car had. You don't. They know, oh, this car got stolen. Yeah, that's too difficult.
17-year-old Quantrell D. Schwartzlow pulled off a daring escape from the Rock County Sheriff's Office in Janesville, Wisconsin. He'd been left alone in this interview room after being arrested on suspicion of strangulation and sexual assault. Surveillance footage captures the teen making a break for it as soon as the detective exited the room. He wasted no time, opening the blinds and pushing out the window before taking a leap from 12 feet up. Another camera caught him sprinting across the lawn, making a clean getaway. When the detective returned 14 minutes later, the room was empty and the window was wide open. Despite his escape, Schwartzlow was eventually recaptured. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison and 2 years of extended supervision for the strangulation charges, as well as the same amount of time for his escape. February 2023, Eddie Villalobos was brought into court by a deputy who followed the law by removing his handcuffs and leg shackles. But as soon as he set him free, he made a run for it, leaving the deputy in the dust as he sprinted down the hallway and out of the building. Eddie was in court to face charges for the fatal stabbings of 2 people back in 2021. Unfortunately for Villalobos, his taste of freedom was short-lived. The sheriff's department quickly sprang into action, and after a few hours, they found him hiding in a nearby apartment under a blanket in a closet. He was promptly taken back into custody and later sentenced to life in prison.
Under a blanket in the closet.
2019. Disguising himself as his own daughter during her visit, Brazilian gang leader Clavino da Silva attempted a daring escape. He tried walking out of the main door of that penitentiary in her place, but sharp-eyed officials quickly caught on.
Yeah, bro, come on. Because it's like, look at this. Like, you can't get far with this, bro.
walking out of the main door of that
face.
penitentiary in her place, but sharp-eyed officials quickly caught on to that scheme.
He put his hand up. Go ahead, stop, sir.
Made him strip in front of their cameras. After his failed escape, De Silva was moved to a max security unit within the prison, and just 3 days later, he was found dead in his cell. Prison officials reported that he had taken his own life.
Oh, wow. Well, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Like the video, sub up, comment up, binge the rest of the channel. I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all send me some videos for this channel, bro. We gone. Dang, somebody got kicked in the head. Equal right, equal fights. I'll save that for later for us to watch. And we gone. ADD led do it.